Almighty Creator, we are here, your children. We are always seeking light to help others live better lives. And we're seeking light to dispel any darkness that could harm people. And basically, it just means that there are good thoughts that help us to lead a better life. And a better life means we're not under the control of anyone, that we're free. And we're thinking for ourselves, we're in tune with you. So that's our goal. We are aware that there are some quote unquote spiritual groups that do not seek to share light except in a deceptive fashion, but rather want to be seen as holy men or holy women who are basically the boss and know better than you and want you to do what they tell you to do and to believe what they want you to believe. We know that is not your way, that first liberty unto all. And so we pray, let the light of liberty shine upon all our world. Let the light of liberty shine upon all our world. Let the light of liberty shine upon all our world. So we pray. Amen. Okay.
Amen, brother.
So maybe we should, one of your, I just hate to say hobbies, but life's mission is to go about and research spiritual groups that are actually cults and can be harmful to people. And I'd just like to open the floor to you and say, who would you like to talk about as far as your research goes?
Well,
Brotherhood of Light? Or you can talk about more than one.
well, there's a whole movement on the internet of it's kind of layman's debate league amongst different communities, and primarily I've been following the Hebrew Israelites.
All right.
Yeah.
On YouTube?
Yeah, and they, within African American history in the United States, there have been debate leagues that the participants were academic scholars in the African American community.
I see.
And this has taken over. This is a phenomenon where they're mimicking a legitimate debate, but there are people within different splinter groups within this Black Israelite community, for the most part, and they pick a subject and they argue relentlessly about pick any subject you want, but they'll argue over it and try to present it as a debate. But
and the tone and the tone of the discussion is, I don't know if hostile is the right word, but it's
it's very very hostile.
And angry,
it's very hostile. Anger. Well, but it's almost identical to the Faithist experience I went through with Barry Lou Brown and UFK Church, where they're constantly tearing down each other. And like UFK Church, they would have these quote unquote global council meetings, and they would most of the time fight during the meetings about this, that, about worthless things. And they never did anything in their entire history. They never accomplished one thing except that Molina cult thing, which was a harebrained scheme to start with. But I had to participate in those global council meetings because it was on speakerphone. But after the meeting was over, the the group participants would be fighting amongst themselves about who said what and who said this and who said that for the entire month until the next meeting. Then they have a next meeting and then they're all glib and happy. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. And they start right back in on some worthless debate about nothing. They never accomplished anything, never set a goal. It was just a big power play. And that's what I'm seeing within this Israelite community. It's just these different power centers trying to sway other people to believe in the Old Testament the way they do and the way they interpret it. And it's the exact repeat of my experience with Oahspe Bible students. It's just more about arguing and being right and everybody else being wrong than doing anything. I mean, they don't do anything. It's just all for show, you know.
Right. I have to admit, I've at least on Facebook, I've debated things such as whether Safaf, the book of Safaf, was of any value. I always took the position where it was actually anti-Oahspe, and I felt so. I've been in that debate circle. I've never done it in a telephone conference call or online, but now that you've warned me, I can kind of see the futility and the negative consequences of taking part in something like that.
Well, it's yeah, that I've listened to a few of their conference calls from the last decade on one of the sites, Reddit or something. They had some conference calls, and they're debating the validity of the vortex theory in Oahspe. And what is the purpose of this? There's so you this has no practical meaning, It
Right.
is, and it's to being a faithist is about doing things to help other people,
Thank
and
you.
it's never about that. It's always about debating something in Oahspe. It's never about actually doing something that would actually help somebody.
Mhm.
It's always about some chapter in Oahspe that we got to just go over and over and over. And I'm seeing these newcomers, and they're like writing a lesson plan for some chapter in Oahspe, how to study it. I mean, it's such
Uh,
plain English. If you need a study plan to read Oahspe, there, right away it tells me that not all the cylinders are working in your brain.
yeah.
It's the most plain English you can ever imagine. It's no mystery. You just the only
Uh,
requirement is you accept it 100% and don't question it.
uh, tho-
But
that's an awesome point there, Charles. Just one quick thought about all of that for me is that I think the reason this happens at all is because people don't want to make any sacrifice. They only want to receive and not give. So if they can go along this academic, look at all these study points I'm bringing up, look how I'm organizing everything for you, then I think it gives them an excuse to not do anything, which might be of some value because that might take their time and money, like helping people out on the streets, working with the poor, whatever that is.
well, Mary Lou Brown absolutely hated the poor because poor people would not join her group. She could get hippies
Okay.
to join and elderly people that had, well, she preyed on everybody that had
Oh,
read Oahspe previously. I mean, everybody that came into that group had already read Oahspe. So she said, okay, here's Oahspe, but here's all this extra stuff I'm going to give you about the heavens and this
Mhm.
throne of light above my house and this eyeball
Oh,
above this chair and all this. And um,
and
but she hated the poor.
oh,
And looking at Newborough, somebody went, Zia went through his letter. Somebody passed away and left an estate, and it had some of Newborough's letters to different people that somehow this person had collected before they passed away. Anyway, this came up for sale in an estate sale, and it's about 100 letters.
wow.
And all through all those letters, he's sizing up people with money to
Mm.
join his group and how he's going to recruit them. He's not interested in poor people. He's interested in people that can give him cash when they join, or they have a farm or a house that they can sign over, you know.
Right. To join Shalom, you had to give all your money to Mr. Newbrough, and you had to give all your land to, I forget his name. Was it Landis?
Howland, Andrew Howland.
Yeah, he got all the land. And
Yeah.
there were cases of people who said, you know what, this community thing is not working out for me. Uh, I just want to get out of here. So please give me my money and my land back. And there, it was refused. They were not allowed to get it back, and there were lawsuits involving that. And to me, that's not what faith is about. It's not about, well, I'm going to get all your money, I'm going to get all your land, and I'm going to leave you destitute. That's my job as a faithist. No, that's not what Oahspe ever stated. So it's kind of incomprehensible that someone who's posing as a prophet of Oahspe or a grand leader, a sea chief, or whatever he is, would take such outlandish anti-Oahspe positions in dealing with people under his care. And that's basically what Mary Lou Brown did too.
Well, she became a tyrant over time because she wanted more and more control over our lives. And she would be like a king or queen. She would issue these decrees that, okay, here's a list of foods you can eat. Here's a list of toothpaste you can use, hair shampoo, um, washing liquid that you wash your clothes with, washing liquid do you wash dishes with. I mean, the list is extensive, and I've showed this to people in Jehovah's Witnesses, and their eyes just open up because they're controlled as well. Not to that extent because they're not a communal group, but I know quite a few present and former Jehovah's Witnesses, and but Mary Lou Brown was trying to. I mean, we had to wear a certain white clothes. We couldn't cut our hair. Um, she
Wow.
had so many rules. I mean, and
And if you broke the rule, there's probably a lot of trouble.
well, she had this vision about the end of the world, and Arnold Arias was one of the 5 original members of that group, and he was thrown out immediately. Um, he left the next morning, I believe, but he was thrown out of the group. He went back to his apartment, and he was gone in the morning. But it's because he didn't believe something she said. It was so outlandish that he just burst out laughing, and she threw a fit, threw him out. But I think a lot of this uh, obsession with Oahspe. It's more about obsessive compulsive disorder and just obsessing over this book, and they're not getting the message that, hey, go help somebody. It's like, there are some people are, well, I'm seeing new people coming into it online and what they're saying, and they're concerned about their grade and how they're going to be judged in
Um,
heaven, and I'm going, gee, where have I heard that before? That
mm,
was a theme Mary Lou was always harping on. She claimed she had the highest grade on earth,
mhm.
and she never did a thing for anybody. She never lifted a finger for a
Yeah,
soul.
yeah, it's we recently had a discussion about being one with the creator and that we had to activate that oneness. We had actually had to put some effort into it. And that was a good point. But I wanted to follow up on that. And what I realized later was it's only if that oneness is dependent upon you thinking more of the welfare of others, working more for the welfare of others. So, I mean, it's good to create good thoughts for yourself and to care about yourself, but there's a point, there's opportunities for us to reach out and be encouraging to others and help others to be happy, I guess. And that really only to the degree that you can somehow figure out, and it's not easy, only to the degree you figure out how to, well, maybe it is easy, how to love one, just to feel love for other people rather than, like you were saying before, trying to be right about everything and everyone else is wrong. That's what makes you one with the creator.
Well, it doesn't have, the failing of Oahspe students is they're looking for somebody that believes every single issue that they believe
Mm,
exactly the same before they're going to make a move. But they never make a move because
great
if you
point.
agree on one thing, then they find something else they disagree on to keep from making a
Uh,
move and actually
mm,
doing something. It's it's a form of mental illness. I don't know, not qualified to know what it is, but that's a dysfunctional that's a totally dysfunctional spiritual belief system. If you have to agree, even Albert Pike, who wrote Morals and Dogma, he says you don't ask if somebody's starving and they need a loaf of bread, you don't ask them what religion they are before you give them a loaf of bread to feed them. But Oahspe students want um, a community that mirrors their own thoughts, and each person is a different, like they say in Spanish, each head or each head is a different world, and we all see things differently. And so they have this dysfunctional approach to trying to build a community. It doesn't have to be a physical community, but you can still participate in projects that help people. You can raise money, you can start
right,
a nonprofit, you can join another group that's already in existence.
right.
The list is endless. And my basic opinion is, um, Oahspe says, well, there'll be a lot of people that won't even know about Oahspe that'll do great things. Well,
Mm,
here's the Oahspe students, and here's Cosman, and Cosman just went around them, and all these people are on track, and they're just doing it like a bird singing a song. They're just naturally
mm,
reaching out to help people. They're engaged in all kinds of social programs to help people, and yet the Oahspe students are just stuck right here debating Oahspe, trying to find somebody that agrees with everything they agree with.
mm,
And, the typical definition of a cult leader is somebody, he's trying to get you to believe exactly what he's preaching. And if you ask any questions or express any doubt, you're
Right.
out.
Right.
So,
That's a great point. I actually tried to join the UFK phone conference about 2 months ago, and they just wouldn't have anything to do with me, which is fine, and I'm okay with that. But that's an example of exclusion. I mean, I promised not to be controversial, and I promised to not like be rude or anything. Not that I'm always rude or anything, but they just said no. Yeah.
well, yeah, I
Probably
wouldn't,
lucky
I
for
wouldn't,
me, they maybe.
I think the creator was telling you indirectly, stay away from this group. There's no good coming out of that group.
Mhm. Well, that's kind of why we started this uh, prayer blessing circle, because we just want to have some kind of community where we're not debating things and we're not trying to debate like whether the Su's becoming sexless is a goal for all faithists or something really obscure. uh, but what we want to do, at least, we want to know, we want to have some kind of spiritual mm, community that where we support each other, where we care about each other, and where we're praying. I praying and blessing. Praying and blessing is in some sense not as active as say working in a soup kitchen or
Right.
working or uh, going out in the streets and helping people get blankets who are homeless. But there is spiritual energy such as the angels have, and they use to help people. So that's basically what we're trying to create positive energy and basically channeling it to the world in different ways. And I always feel better after we do it. I know I'm not saying we're changing the world. I'm just saying we're shining some kind of goodness and love among ourselves and to those in our life and to the world in general. Um, if I can keep going on, I was a member, well, from the distant member of Mary Lou Brown's group for about a year.
Right.
And so I understand what you were talking about to a degree. Not I never met her, so but somehow I lucked out. And like you just said, the creator was protecting me because she said something really stupid to me. And just like what was his name? Arias, the guy,
Arnold Arias.
Arnold, just as Arnold, she said something incredible stupid. And I said, man, I mean, it's okay to disagree with people, but if you say something really outlandish, that's horrifying, it's over. So I got lucky in that sense. Um,
Well, yeah. So if you had been a member of one of her, because she told me in '89 that she had 15 different groups from 1970 to the late '80s. Um, the one we were in lasted 2 years, but she said after that they only lasted like 6 months or 2 months at a time, and then it would be defunct, and then she'd have to go recruit a whole nother group of Oahspe students,
I'm not
get
surprised.
them to move to Anaheim,
Mhm.
and she became more and more controlling as the years went on, and that's why the groups broke up
Mm.
after 2 months, because
Which is
the
why
condition.
Shalom broke up.
Well, um,
He was being a jerk to everyone, basically.
well, Mary Lou Brown at the end, she had like within these groups, she had a spy network. And if you, at some point, I have newsletters of hers where she says, okay, you're going to join this group, but you can't tell anybody your real name. All right.
That's
You
funny.
cannot speak to another person. You have to write it down. on a piece of paper and hand it to them.
Okay, that's
And if you witness somebody speaking or speaking against anything Mary Lou Brown said, you had to go report it to her immediately. So that night when they had their, usually they had get together every night, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You would be called on the carpet about it and bawled out and browbeat and bullied in front of the congregation. So she was very controlling. She claimed Tillman Brown, her husband, was financing this whole operation because they did have an offset printing press. She was mailing out about 100 newsletters a month, but she put out this phony recruiting scam where she claimed to have inherited millions of dollars, and she was going to give everybody a credit card.
I heard that. I actually heard that.
Yeah, so I have one of those credit card applications she sent out. She said
Yes, she told me that.
Before that credit card thing went out, she had like I think 90 to 100 members on her newsletter list. She said overnight it went to 1,800 people on her newsletter. Everybody wanted that money. Everybody wanted that credit card.
Well, that's a great spiritual goal.
Yeah, free money. But nobody had she claimed that this money came from the godfather of the mafia.
Yeah, I heard
that. So why would you want to found Jehovah's kingdom on earth with blood money? I mean, it's like, okay, I just, the head of the Cali cartel just passed away, and he's sorry he's been importing cocaine to the United States for 40 years. And he's given all the money to the Faithism movement, and nobody has a problem with it,
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, Charles, sometimes I feel lucky that I didn't meet for 10 years I read Oahspe, never met anyone. And so I figured I had to work with people like in volunteer work. I joined the Peace Corps for 4 years, and I did it because the Oahspe said, hey, work with the poor. And so I did it. And I feel lucky in that sense of being isolated from everything. But on the other hand, I'd also like to say I've met a lot of great people who are faithists, who read Oahspe, and I don't want to discourage people from not meeting people who read Oahspe for sure. I just want people to understand that there are some people who are tyrannical in their approach to the book and are not really into freedom of thought and expression and accepting people as they are.
Well, my dad was an Oahspe student, and my granddad was an Oahspe student. And my dad's best friend, he met somebody out of the blue that was a student of Oahspe, and none of them tried to recruit me into some ideology or some following or something like that. And I've had over the years many people that I was just friends with, not involved in UFK Church. And we talked about, how do you change a starter on a 86 Volvo? How do you change the timing belt? We talked about practical things, not.
Charles, we have about 30 seconds left, just so you know.
All right. But anyway, it's great to have people that have read Oahspe as friends. I have some, but there are other people out there.
Prayer blessing Zoom sessions are held weekly. Please join with us to create light and love blessings for our world. You may have noticed our world could use a lot of good prayers and blessings. Sincerity and good will mean everything in this work. To join a session, email Bob at robertbayer3741@yahoo.com. We are all angels of the Creator in the making. For we are a blessing, as love is our power. Prayer blessing Zoom sessions.